Mom, I'm at the Crescent Bay villa, right now. Margaret went still. Her eyes darted to the key in her hand, the one that no longer opened the door to the home she thought would always belong to the family. I smiled calmly, descending the staircase with a cup of coffee in hand. What's going on? This is our house, Clarissa blurted out. No, Clarissa, I replied, pulling out my phone and holding up the purchase agreement on screen. This is my house, and you've just been invited. Back into the place you once pushed me out of. Once seen as the failure, I quietly built an empire from the very disregard they fed me. And now, I didn't need to raise my voice to be acknowledged. All I had to do was hand them a luxury hotel invoice and let them guess the value of everything they chose to overlook. This isn't just a story about success. It's a powerfully personal comeback, a declaration of self-worth, dignity, and the right to choose your own path. If you've ever been underestimated, left standing at the edge of a family dinner, or told you'd never be enough, this video is for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more of the most inspiring stories you'll ever hear. Let's begin. The annual Holloway family reunion email landed in my inbox like a ticking time bomb. Location: the seaside villa in Crescent Bay. Once the home of my childhood, now a monument to discarded memories. The subject line was as flashy as always. Family reunion, don't miss it, mass. Sent by my sister Clarissa. As if everyone was expected on except me. I'm Monica, the middle child, and also the one the whole family can't quite stand, at least Margaret. My mother never let me forget it, whether through cold silences or those heavy pointed sighs. You're thinking about it again, aren't you? Spencer, my coworker in the next cubicle, looked up at me with concern. I quickly closed the email, forcing a cheerful smile. Nope, just another normal day at the office. Except that day was anything but normal. The beach house was where my best childhood memories lived, before everything changed, before I was pushed to the outskirts. I remember the summer I was 12, the turning point. Monica, sweetheart, come help me in the kitchen for a bit, Mom said, while Clarissa got to go out to the balcony with Dad to sit in on business talks. Lucas, darling, go show the neighbors your new models and me. As usual, I sat quietly in the corner of the room with a novel everyone said was a waste of time. My phone buzzed, a text from my childhood best friend, Jenna. Another reunion email, huh? I replied. Bullseye. Bet Mom's gonna call soon to say there's no room again this year. The response came just as expected. Margaret's name lit up on the screen. Monica, sweetheart, her voice soft but awkwardly. So about the reunion? Well, let me guess. I cut her off, surprised at how calm I sounded. The house is too full again, right? Clarissa's kids need the space, or maybe Lucas's new girlfriend needs a private room. Silence on the other end. You know, the kid's age is important, she finally said. I glanced at the promotion letter neatly laid out on my desk. Vice President at 35, the youngest in company history. Yes, Mom, I know that very well. I hung up, then walked into Elliot's office, my boss and mentor of over a decade. He looked up from his screen eyes full of understanding. Family again? I nodded, sinking into the chair. Sometimes I wonder why it still gets to me so much. Because you're human, he said gently. But you know what? The best revenge is success. I gave a faint smile. Yeah, success. No, he leaned in, his eyes glinting. The best revenge is success so big they can't ignore you. I laughed, then opened my tablet. About the merger with Fairmont Group, I've got a few new angles, and for the next hour, I got to be fully myself, in a world of strategy and metrics where I didn't need anyone's permission or validation. That evening on my way back to the apartment, Jenna called again. You know what you need. She skipped the greetings, a plan. What kind of plan? To show them what they missed out on. You're not the shy kid anymore, Monica. You're a force. Now I stopped at a red light, city lights blurring across the windshield. They've made it pretty clear where I stand. You deserve more than that. And it's time they realized it. After the call, I sat in my car in front of my high-rise building. 10 years ago, I was just an intern. Now I had everything they said I couldn't. The reputation, the career, the independence. Except one thing: my family's recognition. The next email came from Clarissa. Photos from last year's reunion, smiling faces inside jokes, memories I was never part of. But this time, instead of pain, something else stirred inside me. Resolve, I opened my laptop, logged into the real estate site I'd been quietly tracking for months. The Crescent Bay villa, the one my parents could no longer afford to keep, was dropping steeply in value due to market conditions. A different kind of investment, I whispered, clicking the contact button. Maybe. Jenna was right, not for revenge, I reminded myself, but for justice, the kind that compounds. I don't just want to consolidate assets. I told the board members during the presentation I want to redefine market position. Spencer at the far end of the table gave me a subtle thumbs up. After countless late nights of prep, I knew this was a make-or-break moment. Are you sure about these numbers? Mr. Fairmont frowned, eyes locked on the analysis. I'm staking my reputation and the company's future on them, I said, unwavering. Elliot stepped in from his seat beside him. She's never let us down. Her track record speaks volumes. The meeting ended with handshakes and a signed preliminary agreement. Elliot pulled me aside, brilliant. But why didn't you mention the Eastbridge opportunity? The head of international division is practically yours after this deal. My chest tightened. A career-defining opportunity. Perfectly aligned with the family reunion I'm still considering, I said slowly. Back at my desk, Spencer perched on the edge, coffee in hand. Tell me what's really holding you back. This is what you've worked for all these years. I was about to answer when my phone buzzed. Clarissa, I silenced it with a sigh. Family drama again. Jenna appeared with a lunch bag. Thought we were meeting at the cafe. Changed my mind, wanted to see how you're doing after the big presentation. She winked, handing me a sandwich and giving me that knowing look. Eastbridge, huh? Good news travels fast. Spencer said. You can't miss out just because of them, Jenna added. Another message pinged from Clarissa. Mom wants to know if you got the reunion email. Please respond. Jenna snatched my phone. No, they're starting to realize they can't ignore you anymore. I reached for it. Give it back. Only if you promise not to let them decide your life anymore. I'm not, I began, but Spencer cut in. Monica, remember the charity gala last month? You had a room full of CEOs silent just to hear you speak. That's who you really are, not the forgotten child of the Holloway family. My phone buzzed again, a third message, this time from Lucas. This time it was a message from Lucas. Hey sis, long time no talk, got a minute? I looked at the screen and smirked. Suddenly everyone wants to talk, I said dryly. That's because you're becoming impossible to ignore. Jenna said with a sly grin. What about the Eastbridge thing? I began. Perfect timing, Spencer jumped in. They're scrambling to preserve their so-called family happiness in a villa that now belongs to you. Elliot appeared at the office door. Monica missed her. Fairmont wants to discuss rollout strategy over dinner tonight. I stood up and adjusted my blazer. Text me the time and place. As Elliot left, Jenna raised an eyebrow. Total power move, it's just dinner. I replied, unable to hide my smile. Dinner with one of the most powerful men in the industry, Spencer corrected. While your family still thinks you're some desk jockey at a nameless office? Jenna added. My phone lit up again. This time it was Mom. Monica, sweetheart, call me when you can. There's something important going on with the family. Jenna read over my shoulder and burst out laughing. Something important with the family. Translation, they're running out of excuses to keep excluding you. I picked up the presentation folder, my mind already focused on the upcoming dinner with the partner. They can keep their reasons. Me, I'm building an empire. I said firmly, that's my girl, Spencer cheered. Speaking of, have you sent the villa purchase offer yet? Tomorrow morning, the agent says I'm the only serious buyer in that area. I glanced quickly at the compact mirror. Right on time, Jenna sang just before they announced this year's reunion plans. As I left the office to head to dinner with Fairmont, I felt lighter than I had in years. My family may have mastered the art of making me feel small, but in this world, my world, I was someone entirely different. Don't forget who you are in there. Spencer called after me. Show them what no apologies Monica looks like. I smiled thinking about the email confirmation of the villa transaction waiting in my inbox. Oh, they're about to find out exactly who I am. Congratulations, Miss Harper. The villa is officially yours. The real estate agent pushed the keys across the desk. The metallic glint under the fluorescent lights made my hand tremble slightly as I picked them up. Those small keys weren't just proof of ownership, they were a statement to the past and a gateway to the future. I can't believe you actually did it. Jenna whispered beside me, squeezing my hand. The paperwork will be finalized today. The agent smiled professionally. Given the current market, this was a very smart investment. Walking out of the real estate office, I gripped the keys so tightly they left marks in my palm. My phone rang. It was Elliot, signed. He asked immediately. Just did perfect. The board approved the Eastbridge title this morning. If you accept, it's yours. I froze mid-step and Jenna nearly bumped into me. Wait, what? I thought they weren't deciding until next month. Last night's dinner with Fairmont sealed it. He wants you leading the merger transition. Jenna practically jumped for joy. As I hung up, she spun me around and grabbed my shoulders. This is impossibly perfect. You own their villa. You're about to become international director. Enjoy it, Monica. A new message came in from Clarissa. Family reunion this weekend. Mom insists you come. Please be there. Jenna burst out laughing. Oh my God, they don't even know you're the new owner of the house. They want to host the reunion. Not even the agent knows. I reminded her. Right, because you bought it under the company name. Jenna nodded, clearly impressed. Genius move. We were just getting into the car when Spencer called. Elliot told me everything. The promotion, the property, you're taking the Eastbridge role. Right, I haven't decided. I said, putting the call on speaker. What's left to consider? You'll lead the merger from Asia. Expand your global rep and leave your family in the dust. Speaking of, Jenna cut in. She just got summoned to the family reunion. Unreal, Spencer laughed. You're actually going? I was driving down the coastal road toward the villa, I think. So it's time I paid a visit. The familiar road felt different now. Every curve, every tree, every breath of sea air. It all belonged to me now. I parked in front of the classic blue and white villa, everything just as I remembered. This place is still stunning, Jenna whistled. No wonder they're desperate to keep the reunion tradition alive here. I opened the door with my new key. The house carried the scent of sea salt and the past, summer nights, family meals, hushed conversations. But now woven through it all was the sweet scent of victory. The phone rang. It was Margaret. Monica, you're coming this weekend, right? Clarissa said she messaged you. Actually, Mom, I'm at the villa now. There was a long pause on the other end. How the realtor said it was sold. Did they? Interesting. I walked through the living room, brushing my hand across the wall. Don't worry, I'll see you this weekend. I hung up before she could respond. Jenna turned phone, already recording, unable to stop laughing. Oh my God, that was a golden moment. Her voice totally cracked. Send that to Spencer. I said, opening the balcony doors and taking a deep breath of ocean air. The irony, they always said you didn't value family tradition, and yet here you are, the one preserving it, by buying it. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying, I said. It's about preserving, but on your terms. My phone buzzed again. Clarissa, Lucas, then Mom. I ignored them all. So now what, boss? Spencer's voice came through the speakerphone. I smiled, thinking about the upcoming gathering. Now we prepare for a reunion they'll never forget. Need a wingwoman this weekend? Jenna asked. I'm an excellent witness. No. This is something I need to do alone, but first... I opened my laptop, time to draft my acceptance for the Eastbridge offer. I stood on the balcony looking out at the ocean that was now mine. Every piece of the plan was falling into place. The girl who once hid in the shadows of this house was gone. Now stood a woman they never saw coming, one they would have no choice but to acknowledge. The slam of a car door startled me. I'd been too absorbed in reviewing the merger documents, taking in the view from my new office, the balcony. I told you something was off with Monica on the phone. Clarissa's voice floated through the open window. She's always off. Lucas replied, remember Christmas last year? I snapped my laptop shut. Heart racing, they were early. The reunion was supposed to be tomorrow. I looked out the window. They were unloading luggage like they still owned the place. My phone buzzed. Spencer. It's time there early. I texted back, wish me luck. No. Mercy, he replied instantly. I heard the jiggle of the front door handle followed by confused voices. Mom, the key's not working, Clarissa called out. That's weird, we just checked it last month. I descended the staircase, each step deliberate in my blood-red heels. The sound of my heels echoed across the wooden floor, silencing the voices at the door. When I opened it, all three of them, Margaret, Clarissa, and Lucas, stood frozen like statues looking for something. I asked, a calm smile playing on my lips. Margaret clutched her chest. What are you doing here? How did you get in? I live here, I replied, simply stepping back. Come in, my home is your home literally. Silence filled the room like a thick fog. Clarissa opened her mouth, then closed it like a fish out of water. Lucas dropped his duffel bag. What do you mean you live here? I'm the current owner of this house, I said as I walked toward the kitchen, fully aware they would follow coffee. Anyone just brewed Colombian. Mom's favorite, right? Monica, Clarissa's voice tightened, carrying the weight of an older sister used to being in charge. What's going on? I poured myself a cup, stirred it slowly, then turned around. I thought the reunion was tomorrow. Did I miss a memo? Oh wait, I forgot I'm rarely invited to these kinds of things. Cut the games, Lucas snapped. How did you get in here? This is the family's house. I pulled out my phone and opened the property ownership agreement. Actually, it's mine now. I bought it 2 weeks ago. Want to see the papers? Margaret collapsed into a chair. That can't be... We would have known if something like that happened. Really, I leaned against the counter and took a sip of coffee. When was the last time any of you asked how I was doing? Clarissa grabbed my phone and scrolled through the document. This can't be real. How could you afford this? Same way, I afforded the high-rise in Hollingsworth Heights, the holiday villa in Winter Creek, and the car collection in my garage. I replied flatly, I worked. Remember that thing everyone said I'd never succeed at? You work. Now what exactly do you do? Lucas stammered. The slam of a car door in the driveway signaled another arrival. What's everyone standing around for? Samuel, my father called out. No one's going to help me with the bags. I smirked. Come on in, Dad, I'll help. He walked in with several grocery bags, stopping dead when he saw me. Monica, what's going on here? The family reunion just started a little early. I said, taking the bags and arranging things in the kitchen. Next time, maybe ask me before doing the grocery run for my house. Your house. He turned to Margaret, still stunned. I gestured toward the dining room. We should sit down. There's a few things we need to discuss. The group followed me wordlessly, taking their seats around the table that used to host family dinners, where I was usually sent to do dishes instead of join. I sat at the head, my father's old seat. About this year's reunion, I began. I think it's time we made a few changes. You can't just buy the family house, Clarissa shouted, rising from her seat. This is tradition. That's what I thought too, I said, examining my nails. But tradition only holds weight when the people carrying it do too. When the bank called about foreclosure, where was your tradition? Then Margaret lifted her head, eyes wary. How do you know about that? I know everything. The second mortgage, the tax lines, the foreclosure notice, I know because I did my homework before investing. Something not everyone in this family does. My phone buzzed. Jenna, need backup, I texted back. All good, Operation Karma is in motion. Looking at their stunned faces, I laughed as for the reunion, I continued. I think a few adjustments are in order. After all, new house, new rules. I pointed toward the window where the ocean sparkled under the afternoon sun. Their faces slowly shifted as realization settled in like fog lifting. That feeling was even sweeter than the multi-million-dollar merger I just closed. You could have told us, Clarissa whispered. About your success, your career? Everything, really, I raised an eyebrow. When after being excluded from every reunion invite, during those New Year's calls no one ever made. Samuel cleared his throat. Monica, that's not entirely fair. Fair, I laughed, sharp and cold. You want to talk about fair? Remember my college graduation? The one you all missed because Lucas had a football game. The one he didn't even win a scholarship from. That was a unique situation, Margaret muttered. Lucas. Didn't get the scholarship I finished. Meanwhile, I graduated with honors from my MBA program. But did anyone ask? My phone lit up. Elliot Eastbridge news leaked early. Want to delay? I replied, no. Let it roll. So what now? Lucas asked, you want us to beg to be let back into our home. Your home, I said, standing and walking into the newly renovated kitchen. Come here, let me show you what your home looked like when I bought it. I opened a folder and laid out before and after photos, rotting floorboards, a leaking roof, old exposed wires that were a fire hazard, $60,000 just to make it livable. Another $100,000 for full renovations. Clarissa picked up a photo, her face turning pale. We didn't know it was that bad because no one cared. You all assumed things would fix themselves, just like you. Assumed I'd never amount to anything. Samuel stood abruptly. That's enough. No matter what happened, you're still our daughter. Are you sure about that? I asked, meeting his eyes, because for the past 20 years, I've been nothing more than a forgotten shadow. My phone buzzed again. News alert. Fairmont Group announces appointment of Monica Harper as Executive Vice President, Eastbridge Region. Margaret grabbed the phone, eyes widening as she read. Executive Vice President of the International Division. Monica, you're going to Eastbridge. And more, I said, pouring another cup of coffee. The merger I'm leading is worth more than this house and everything in it. Clarissa snatched the phone from Mom's hands, stammering as she read, youngest executive in company history, projected to triple market share through strategic merger. No way. Lucas whispered, you're just Monica. Just Monica, I repeated, tilting my head. Interesting. The child none of you believed in now owns the family villa and leads a global market region. Samuel sank back into his seat. Why didn't you say anything? I tried. Every time I mentioned work, the conversation turned to Clarissa's kids or Lucas's next startup. My phone buzzed again. Spencer stock up 12%, LinkedIn exploding. Margaret still stared at the screen. These numbers, they're unimaginable. And that's just the beginning, I said. So what now? Clarissa asked quietly. About the reunion, everything? I walked to the window. The sea was the same, but now it was mine. Now we do things differently, the reunion's still happening. But under new management, what do you mean? Lucas asked, alarmed. I've booked the rooftop lounge at the Eden Hall Grand Hotel for everyone, and the villa I turned. Needs to stay private. With its new owner, you're kicking us out. Margaret's voice trembled. No, Mom, I'm showing you what exclusion feels like. Only I'm doing it with luxury suites and ocean views. Samuel stood again, more slowly this time. We deserve that. But, Monica, is this really what you want? I looked at each of them, unflinching. What I want is 20 years of forgotten birthdays, overlooked achievements, and unspoken congratulations. But since I can't have those, I gave a faint smile, then continued. But since I can't have those things, I'll settle for watching you all realize what you missed out on. I slid the stack of Eden Hall Grand Hotel reservation papers to the center of the table. Clarissa picked one up, her eyes widening as she read the description. You spent this much for one night. She stammered. Less than my hourly salary. I replied crisply. Consider it a farewell gift before I head to Eastbridge. How long? Margaret's voice faltered. How long will you be gone? I smiled, remembering the countless holidays and reunions I'd been excluded from. Long enough for you to understand what absence feels like. I lifted my chin, my voice firm. Now shall we discuss the new reunion rules, silence heavy and thick. As if 2 decades had collapsed into the room and none of it belonged to me. The lobby of the Eden Hall Grand bustled with guests coming and going. My family had just arrived, each of them awkwardly checking in. I stood near a marble column watching Clarissa juggle her kids while Lucas tried to charm the front desk staff, pretending to know what he was talking about. Your car is ready, Miss Harper, the valet said with a polite bow. Margaret turned at the sound of his voice. Her eyes widened at the sight of the black and silver Bentley parked out front. Monica, she called out, hurrying toward me. We need to talk. Really talk pity. I have a meeting. Mergers don't wait for family drama. I glanced at my watch. Please. She placed a hand on my arm for the first time in years. Just one coffee. 20 minutes I studied her face. The wrinkles around her eyes were deeper than I remembered. All right. Rooftop lounge, 15 minutes. We sat across from each other in the quiet lounge. I was fielding Eastbridge coordination emails while Margaret stirred her coffee, clearly searching for words. I didn't know you were so successful. She finally said, Of course not. I put my phone down. You never asked. We thought, she hesitated. After you dropped law school? I didn't drop it. I cut in. I was offered a full scholarship to the Harrow School of Global Commerce. If you'd read the letter I sent, you'd know your father and I. We just wanted you to have something stable. Like Clarissa's law firm. Oh wait, the one she never opened. Or Lucas's endless string of failed startups you kept funding. She didn't respond. She couldn't. The door opened. Jenna stepped in, pausing when she saw us. Oh, I can come back later. No need. Come join us, I waved her over. Hi, Mrs. Holloway, Jenna nodded. Long time no see. Though I doubt you remember me, I was the one who spent every school holiday with Monica while you were off visiting Clarissa. Margaret blushed. Jenna, of course I remember. Save it. Jenna sat down. I'm just here to finalize Eastbridge logistics with Monica. You know the position your family made a point of ignoring. My phone buzzed. Clarissa, Mom looks upset. I replied, she's learning to accept things. Are we really that awful? Margaret's voice was faint. Jenna nearly laughed, but I raised my hand to stop her. Not awful, just indifferent. And that's worse, we can fix it. She pleaded. Now that we know. Now that you're successful. Now that I have money, power, and status. Suddenly everyone's behavior shifts. I smiled coolly. That's not atonement. That's just late-stage shock. The door opened again. This time it was Samuel. Your mom's been gone a while, he said. Then looked at me. Mind if I join? Of course I gestured to an empty seat. It's a family conversation after all. He sat down looking tired. The house, it's true. Taxes paid. Debts cleared, new plumbing and wiring, I shrugged. No thanks necessary. That's not what I meant. He began, but I cut him off. It never is. Jenna opened her laptop. You need to choose your Eastbridge residence. 3 options, penthouse at Harper Heights, I said without hesitation. Already decided. Margaret's coffee cup trembled in her hands. The penthouse. Did you think an international executive would live in a cramped studio? Jenna said sweetly. My phone buzzed again. Lucas family dinner tonight, my treat? I replied. Sorry, I have a board gala at Lyrna Dan Monica. Samuel said, we know we messed up. But this, buying the house, moving on. I stood smoothing my dress. The house wasn't to shut you out, it was about control something. No one in this family thought I deserved. And Eastbridge, Margaret asked. Just business, I smiled. A big deal and I'm leading it. When will you come back? Her voice rasped. Maybe the holidays. If I'm not too busy running an entire region. I grabbed my bag. Jenna rose beside me, beaming. Don't worry, Mrs. Holloway. I'm sure Clarissa will still keep you posted just like always. As we left the room, I heard Margaret choke back a sob. A part of me wanted to turn around like all the times before, but that part was fading fast. You okay? Jenna asked. As the elevator rose, I adjusted the lapel of my designer blazer in the mirror. Never better ready for the board dinner. I was born for this. I replied, Are you really keeping them at the hotel the whole week? I smiled as the elevator doors opened. This is just the beginning. What's next? Christmas. The reunion dinner at the Eden Hall Grand Ballroom went exactly as I planned. Crystal chandeliers glittered overhead. Classical music drifted through the air, and my entire family sat at the head table in rental outfits from the front desk because I'd forgotten to mention the dress code. Was all this really necessary? Lucas tugged at his collar, clearly uncomfortable. 5-star food, top-shelf bar, private balcony view. Yes, it was, I said, sipping my wine. Consider it compensation for 20 reunions. I was left out of. Clarissa's husband whistled as the server brought out the appetizer. Is this Real caviar. Only the best for family, I smiled. Certainly better than the usual tray of sandwiches. Margaret hadn't touched her plate. Monica, can we talk? Privately, I led her out to the balcony, the ocean breeze carrying both salt and wealth. This, this feels cruel, she said softly. Cruel, I turned. Feeding the family gourmet meals is cruel, you know what I mean. She avoided my eyes, flaunting success like this. The way you did when Clarissa got her law degree or Lucas got engaged? I leaned against the railing. Those were the parties I was never invited to. We were wrong, she whispered. That's what you want to hear, right? No, I replied. I want you to understand what you missed. Every promotion, every milestone you ignored led to this. The person who can now book an entire hotel floor just to host a reunion. The glass door slid open. Elliot entered Monica. He nodded, then turned to Margaret. Good evening, I'm Elliot Darrow. I've mentored your daughter for the last 10 years. Margaret's eyes widened. You're her boss, the one from the news. Actually, Elliot smiled. Next month, Monica will be my peer, maybe even ahead of me depending on the Eastbridge performance. I watched as something clicked in her expression. That position in Eastbridge. It's that important, I laughed. I'll be overseeing half of Asia. The signing bonus alone could buy this villa twice over. Elliot checked his watch. Time for the video call with Tokyo. Shall we? I nodded goodbye, Mom. As Elliot and I walked away, he leaned in and whispered, Brutal, I love it. Back in the ballroom, Spencer had arrived holding a stack of freshly printed newspapers, hot off the press. He grinned, handing out tomorrow's issue of Financial Times Weekly, with my face boldly featured on the cover of the business section. Thought your family could use a little souvenir of their daughter's success. Samuel took a copy, his hands trembling slightly. Global market leader, revolutionary international trade strategy. Don't strain yourself reading it aloud, Dad, I said coolly. Those numbers might be a bit much for a small-town insurance clerk. Clarissa whispered to her husband, youngest executive in the Asia region, projected 300% market share growth in 5 years. Lucas suddenly stood. Sis, I've got an investment idea I'd love to pitch to you. My investment accounts are already managed, I replied, eyes still on my phone. But my company is offering entry-level internships if you're interested. The string quartet played again. The servers delivered the main course, Wagyu beef with truffle mushroom sauce. I watched my family attempt to stay composed amid a luxury they never thought the forgotten daughter could create. Your car is ready for the Tokyo call, Ms. Harper James, my personal concierge murmured at my side. Thank you, I said, slipping $100 bill into his hand. Make sure my family's well taken care of. Of course, ma'am. As I gathered my things, Margaret gently touched my arm. When will you come back? After Eastbridge, I glanced around the room, crystal chandeliers, fine wine, attentive staff, everything part of the life I built without them. I'm not sure, Mom, but don't worry, I'll send photos. The way you used to send family reunion pictures all those years, I turned on my heel. Behind me, Spencer called out, wait till they hear about her new penthouse at Harbor Heights. The sharp click of my heels echoed across the marble floor each step, carrying me further from the ones who once dismissed me and closer to the empire I built from their doubt. Let them eat Wagyu, I thought, and choke on every bite. The morning sun poured golden light into the Crescent Bay villa as I packed the last of my things. Jenna sat on the bed, sorting through a pile of old photos I'd found in the attic. Look at this one, she said, holding up a faded photo, your 10th birthday. You're the only one looking at the camera while the whole family's petting Clarissa's new dog. A knock at the door made me pause. Margaret stood there holding a small wooden box. May I come in? She asked softly. I nodded, still folding clothes. She sat on the edge of the bed, turning the box over in her hands. I found this in the attic. Everything I ever kept of you. Things I wasn't brave enough to admit I held on to. She opened the lid. Inside were newspaper clippings with my name certificates for academic excellence, even a printed program from my MBA graduation, the one they never attended. You kept all this. I froze halfway through, folding a silk blouse. Bits and pieces, she whispered. I told myself I was being practical, didn't want to give you false hope, but really, I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid you'd succeed where I failed? Afraid you'd escape the small life I chose? She pulled out a copy of a business magazine, its special issue honoring 30 successful under 40 with my name in bold. And you did. Jenna quietly stood. I'll give you two a moment. No, I said, stopping her. You're more family than most have ever been. My phone rang. Clarissa texted, "Are you at the beach? Can we talk?" I replied, "Come up." A few minutes later, Clarissa, Lucas, and Samuel squeezed into my small bedroom. Lucas held a folder. "What's that?" I asked. "An investment proposal." He said, "Not for me, for the villa. We want to pitch in, if you'll let us." I raised an eyebrow. "I don't need your money," we know. Samuel stepped forward. "But this is an investment we should have made long ago into our family." Pretty words, I said, but action matters more. Then let action speak, Clarissa said. Pulling out her phone, I postponed my partnership offer. Taking a break, I figured. I'd visit Eastbridge, try to understand you for real. And I enrolled in an online business course. Lucas added, "If you're willing, I want you to teach me. This time, I want to get it right." Margaret reached into the box, pulling out one last item, a worn key. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. "Only a new beginning." I looked at the key. "What's this for?" "The front door. I kept it all these years thinking it symbolized something. But you showed me it's not about keys or houses or reunions. It's about the person we choose to become." Jenna squeezed my hand as I took the key. "I'm still going to Eastbridge," I said firmly. "We know all three." Replied, "And I'm still angry." "You have every right," Samuel admitted. "And this doesn't fix everything, but it can be a start." Margaret said softly. I walked to the window, looking out at my ocean. Behind me, I heard the shuffle of Lucas's papers, Clarissa's anxious breathing, the snap of the box closing. "The family reunion," I said, "will alternate between here and Eastbridge, and all of you will need passports." The tension dissolved. Clarissa laughed through her tears. Lucas dropped his folder. Samuel had to sit down. "Seriously," Margaret's voice trembled. "Seriously. Not because you deserve it, but because I choose to. That's the difference." Jenna smiled. "So I get to plan the Eastbridge reunion? I have so many ideas. Everyone will learn." "Mandarin," I said, "and international market valuation and business etiquette." "Whatever it takes," Lucas said. "We're in." For the first time, I believed him. My phone buzzed again. "Elliot Carr's here." It's time. I lifted my suitcase. Monica, my mother, stood. "Thank you, not for forgiveness, we don't deserve that, but for the opportunity, something we never earned." I looked around the room, once filled with isolation, now full of possibility, an imperfect family, but trying. Don't waste it. I walked to the car, their footsteps behind me, not chasing anymore, but walking beside me. Different, but possible. "Eastbridge has no idea what's coming," Jenna said, hugging me. I smiled, thinking of my new office, the distant reunions to come, the wide-open future ahead like the sea before me. "They will," I said, and stepped into the car. The Crescent Bay villa faded in the rearview mirror, not a place of exclusion anymore, but a bridge between what I was and all I was meant to become. Not perfect, but fully possible. There are apologies that come too late. There are empty spaces in the heart that may never be filled. But sometimes, what truly matters isn't what was lost, it's what we choose to carry forward into tomorrow. Monica Harper wasn't seeking revenge. She was reclaiming her voice through the quiet power of presence, through achievements too undeniable to be ignored. And in doing so, she opened a new door, not just for herself, but for a family that had forgotten how to love with fairness. In this world, you may not be born with recognition, but you absolutely can choose to become the person the world can't help but notice. If this story touched you, leave a comment below. Have you ever been underestimated and then turned the tables? Like this video if you saw a part of yourself in Monica's journey. Share it to inspire someone who's quietly working toward their breakthrough. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another powerful, uplifting story like this one. Thank you for staying with us until the very end, and always remember, you don't need to be accepted to begin. You just need to begin to be recognized.